The long-awaited battle between Hope and Dr. Doom, prophecy and judgment that was foretold by the Oracle has at last taken place. In the end, the heroes came up victorious in the fight and successfully sent Dr. Doom back to Reality 616. Although the event was rather straightforward, there's still a few important questions that need answering. There's a lot of lore to cover, so sit back, relax, and let's break down the Doom vs. Hope live event. Before the event started, we were informed by Peel Vereen in his Found Quest that Shuri invented new rift recalibrators that we would need to place on the rift beacons. In doing so, it would allow the heroes to send Dr. Doom straight back to Reality 616. Once they were all set up, Hope slowly activated each beacon one by one, pointing directly at the Forge, so it's safe to assume Doom was there. Nevertheless, after all the beacons were charged up, the event began.
Last beacon is online. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, let him have it!
All 5 of the rift beacons simultaneously shot the Forge at once, but then a shield immediately surrounded the Forge.
How is it still standing?
Hope was confused, and out of nowhere, a hologram of Dr. Doom appeared.
Those who dare stand against me will pay a price.
Right after he said that, the Forge's shield overloaded with rift energy from the beacons, making it explode and send out a massive shockwave throughout the entire island, transitioning us into a cinematic. The cinematic cutscene begins with the heroes and the loopers knocked to the ground after being hit by the shockwave from the explosion of energy buildup at the Forge. Suddenly, Doom emerges from the darkness in his Titan form and approaches the heroes. Everyone quickly gets up and begins firing straight at him. However, their attempts to stop Dr. Doom were futile. Those who dared stand against him were insignificant bugs in the eyes of Doom, and he obliterated each one of them without any effort. Then we see a determined Jones rush towards Doom. He throws Captain America's shield right at Dr. Doom's shoulder, but as expected, it did absolutely nothing and simply bounced off of his armor. I'm not even gonna lie, that was probably one of the stupidest things Jones could have ever done. But it makes sense considering he has a small brain, which was confirmed in the Chapter 2 finale event. Anyways, Dr. Doom noticed and immediately turned around. Doom realized that the shield thrown at him was from Jones. The two have a bit of history because of Zero War, where Jones and the rest of his group hindered Doom's plan. So after recognizing Jones, Dr. Doom instantly fires his Pandora's beam, knocking Jones to the ground. As Jones helplessly laid on the ground, Doom gathered all his power to vanquish his rival for good. But in the nick of time, Hope quickly sprints towards Jones, grabs Captain America's vibranium shield, and heroically saves Jones from what would have been certain death. Doom blasts the shield with all his might, although barely, the vibranium was still able to withstand the power of Pandora's box. Hope looked at the shield, confused how she wasn't instantly obliterated, but then Dr. Doom grabs her and looks her right in the eyes. Hope was terrified. Her fear of being crushed like a tiny little bug was about to be realized. But in that moment, she remembered the Oracle's words. She must try to fight Doom, and she might win. With reassured confidence, Hope looks upon the vibranium shield, which is resonating with the power of Pandora's box, and with all her might, she strikes him straight in the eye, damaging his Pandora's armor. Dr. Doom drops Hope and momentarily covers his eye. Then he looks down again at Hope in anger as she gets back up from the fall. The vibranium shield was barely able to hold on to the power of Pandora's box, resulting in Hope's arm getting burnt while she held it. The Avengers surrounded Hope, and despite her injuries, she runs straight back into battle, hopeful that Doom can be defeated. Following the cinematic, we were greeted by a furious Titan-sized Dr. Doom who unleashed his wrath upon the island. Then Hope contacted us, informing us that only one of the rift beacons were salvageable. That's because after the dust storm, 3 of the rift beacons were thrown into 3 different POIs: Brawler's Battleground, Restored Reels, and Grand Glacier, while the 4th one was destroyed and the 5th one, of course, managed to withstand the shockwave. Hope tells us that if their plan were to succeed with the last remaining rift beacon, the island would need to work together to significantly weaken Doom. Over the course of an hour, the loopers and the heroes hastily work together and drain Dr. Doom of his 2 trillion HP. I gotta say, that's extremely impressive that we defeated Doom in an hour considering how much HP he had. It really shows how committed the entire Fortnite community is to events. Nonetheless, once Doom was showing signs of weakness, Hope activated the final Rift Beacon. At Hope's command, the last remaining Rift Beacon shot straight towards Dr. Doom, building up a rift that would send him back to his reality. While the rift was beginning to build up, Doom was distracted by the heroes and the loopers firing at him. The battle between Von Doom continued until moments later the rift finally formed and Dr. Doom was being pulled right towards it. Unbeknownst to what was happening because of the ensuing chaos that distracted him, Doom howled in disbelief. The moment the rift opened, the dark powers of Pandora's box that he'd harnessed within his armor immediately fled into the rift, leaving Doom powerless. As Doom shrunk and was about to be rifted to Reality 616, he shouted in anger, Right before he was rifted, his mask fell from his face onto the dried lake. And with that, Hope, the heroes, the loopers, and the entire island had finally defeated Dr. Doom. With that being said, let's now answer the most prominent question after this event. Will Dr. Doom end up returning to the island at the end of this season? If you visit the Mephisto NPC on the island and speak to him while wearing the Hope outfit, he reveals that Victor Von Doom was completely defeated and will not be returning at the end of the season. But I have an even more in-depth explanation as to why he won't manage to return to the island again. When the final beacon successfully formed the rift near Dr. Doom, the dark power of Pandora's box immediately left his armor and went straight into the rift. The reason for this is because while Doom's armor was able to harness the power of the box, it could just barely do so due to the box's power being so chaotic and uncontrolled. And as we see in the event, the pull of the rift was so strong that it completely drew out all of the box's powers from within him, causing him to shrink, since it was the power of Pandora's box that allowed Doom to transform into a Titan. In turn, explaining why his mask ends up being smaller than it was while we were fighting him as well. Nevertheless, the point I'm trying to make here is that the rift that was opened was sending Doom back to Reality 616, and with the evil powers of the box no longer contained in his armor, they now plague Doom's universe, ultimately preventing him from returning to the island for now. If the writers are continuing to follow the story of Pandora's box, Dr. Doom can't return because there is no hope in his reality. Only the evils and plagues of Pandora's box are in his world, and in the myth of Pandora's box, Hope helped mankind overcome the evils of the box. Consequently, Doom is now in a ravaged reality all by himself and hopeless. As upsetting as this may be for some, rifting Dr. Doom out of Reality Zero actually gives another opportunity for him to return to Fortnite's storyline in the future. He's already a pretty prominent character, so I'm sure he may return again someday. So what now? Well, we're receiving a second live event, this time a full-length one at the end of the season, which will bring us into Chapter 2 OG. And with the arrival of the final update of this season for Fortnitemares, there's a lot to expect in the final few weeks of this season building up to the return of Chapter 2. So make sure to keep an eye out for any hidden lore. With that being said, I hope you all enjoyed my breakdown of the Doom vs. Hope live event. Thank you all for watching and see you guys in the next one. Take care.